what is up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Franka and I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be going over my unpopular book opinions. And hopefully I don't piss you off too much. Before deciding to film this video, I sat there and watched so many people's like unpopular book opinions, and one of the biggest ones was that they like standalones better than series, and I was like, absolutely not. So my first unpopular book opinion, I guess, because literally everyone's unpopular book opinion was that they like standalones, and I was like, how could it be an unpopular opinion if you all think the same thing? So I'm gonna count this as an unpopular opinion. It might not be. Everyone might agree with me. My first unpopular opinion is book series or duologies are almost always better than a standalone. I feel like a lot of standalones are a lot shorter than like an average book. An average book in my mind is like 400 pages, and I feel like a lot of the standalones are like 300 pages, and I feel like I can just fall in love with the characters a lot more if you're constantly seeing more of them, if that makes any sense. But I feel like some of the standalones, the books are just too short for me to actually care about any of the characters. I feel like at some point I'm like, you're just going too quickly through the plot, and it's like plot point, plot point, plot point, that I'm like, I don't know anything about this character other than all these things are happening to them. And that is my explanation for why series are almost always better. There's so much more room to fall in love with the characters, and you actually like end up rooting for them because you're like, oh my god, you've gone through this much stuff to get to this point, like I'm rooting for you, like you have to win. My unpopular opinion number 2 is that bonus chapters in books suck. If your bonus chapter is just telling me the exact same thing that happened through another character's point of view, I don't care. For example, I just finished reading Fourth Wing. If you want to see that vlog, I'll have it linked up above. But at the end, there was 2 bonus chapters from Xaden's point of view about things that happened like 300 pages ago. And I was like, I don't even remember that. If you really wanted me to understand what was going on in his mind this whole time, why didn't you tell me 300 pages ago? I feel like sometimes bonus chapters can be good, but I don't really like them. I think I'm done the book. I'm excited. I'm ready for it to be over. All of a sudden, you're gonna give me like 2-3 extra bonus chapters? No thank you, ma'am. My unpopular opinion for number 3 is that smut ruins books. I don't mind those scenes. Like, if they're in a book, that's fine. But some of the romance books I've read, that is literally all they're about. For example, I read Body Check by Elle Kennedy, and this book was very short, very to the point, but nothing about the relationship was like, oh my god, like, I love seeing them together. Like, it was literally just like smut every other page, and that's being a little dramatic, but for the most part, like, that's the only reason they liked each other. And so like everything they do after that just doesn't seem genuine and real. If the only thing making me root for your relationship is smut, not gonna happen. I think that's why I personally like enemies to lovers, because they start off hating each other, so they have to like slowly, gradually get to the point where they actually like love each other. Number 4 is books that are not the same height. Definitely if they're the same series, why are they not the same height? If you watched my Bridgerton vlog, you saw that I couldn't buy Romancing Mr. Bridgerton when I bought the rest of the series because they didn't have it at the chapters. So I bought it on Amazon. Tell me why it was one of those like old lady romance books, like the size. Let me get it for you guys. This is the one I bought off Amazon. And this is the one I bought from Chapters. That irks me so much, and I really need to find another version of this book. I'm too scared to order it again on Amazon in case I get this book in return, because I do not like this book. I guess we can add this as like 4.5, but this size of book. And when I'm reading it, the words just feel like they're so much closer. Like, this is such like a strange thing, but those words compared to these words, like, they look like they're jumping out at me, and I can't stand it. Another thing, Fourth Wing. When I read Fourth Wing, the book was so massive, and it was just so awkward to hold. I was like, my hands physically hurt from reading this, along with even like the ACOTAR books, like A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames. The books were so heavy. It hurt my hand reading them. We'll just wrap 4.5 up as just like the way books are made because they are not all made equally. Okay. My unpopular opinion number 5 is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with a third person point of view. I feel like literally everyone hates third person point of view on Book Talk, BookTube, Bookstagram, whatever. They hate it. I personally don't mind it. I love a good third person in like a thriller or murder mystery. I haven't come across one that I can remember, at least in like romance or fantasy genre yet. I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's literally the same thing, except you're not hearing the word I every like 5 minutes. So I don't know why people hate it so much. Number 6 is something that genuinely like irks me to no end. And it's one of those things where like it makes me so mad every time I hear it that like I could write like a 1,000-page essay on why I hate it so much and why it shouldn't be a thing. I also want to preface this by saying if you do this, there's literally nothing wrong with it. This is just one of those things that just like annoys me because it's like very particular. So with that, number 6 is people who say they read a book but they actually just listen to the audiobook. I have no problem if you want to like listen to an audiobook, like whatever. I did try listening to audiobooks and I feel like I personally don't like it, and maybe that's why I hold this opinion. But what I hate about this is the fact that people say it's reading. Like you are still technically digesting the information of the book, like whatever, but you are not reading it. But you are definitely 100% not reading it. You are listening to the book. You're not reading the book, you are listening to the book. The definition of reading is the action or skill of reading written or printed material silently or aloud. Where in that does it say listening? When I say there's literally nothing wrong with listening to audiobooks, there is nothing wrong. Just don't say it's reading, because it's not reading. You read with your eyeballs and you listen with your ears. That's like me saying I read a podcast. How do you read a podcast? You listen to a podcast. Number 7 is people who buy books on Kindle, but then also buy the physical copy of the book. That to me just seems like the biggest waste, especially if people buy the physical copy of the book and then buy it on Kindle after. Like, what was the point of buying that book? But I also feel like I understand it a little because I like the way the books look on the shelf. Because if you're gonna read it on Kindle for way cheaper, why are you also gonna buy the book? Like, what is the point of that? I feel like that's another thing that like just rubs me the wrong way. Number 8 is when there is a movie or TV show adaptation of a book and it is completely different than the books. Now, I have 2 examples for you. Obviously, the first one is Bridgerton. This newest season of Bridgerton, one of the characters for another one of the books got switched from male to female, and that threw me off a little bit. A lot of the things that happened between Penelope and Colin happened very differently from the way they did in the book, and I was very confused. But also, they shouldn't have been the next ones in the series. They should have been next season. So those little things just annoy me because obviously season 1, season 2, I hadn't read the books and I loved them. And I had like no qualms about them being different from the books. After season 2, I was like, oh, they like actually have books. I thought it was just like TV series. I love the TV series. Prior to season 3 coming out, I did a vlog reading all of the Bridgerton books, which I will have linked above if you're interested. But the amount of things that were just like so different in Penelope and Colin's story like irked me to like no end, because it was like, what is the point of making a movie adaptation of the book if you're just gonna change so many things? Another book that was like this was Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I read the books prior to watching the new series. Tell me why, like, everything was really different. Tell me why they had like a literal house party in a cave. Like, what did that add to the story? Literally nothing other than piss me off. So you feel like if you are going to make a movie adaptation or a TV series, if there is nothing wrong, like, obviously, if something happens in the book that everyone hates, you know what I mean? That's fine to change it. But if everyone loves your book and is giving it 5 stars because they love it, maybe don't change it. Just a thought. Number 9 is hardcover books look really good on shelves, but they are absolutely awful to read. If you've seen any of my other videos, maybe you watched my book haul. I'll link that up above if you haven't and you're interested. But every book I own is a paperback. Because I can't stand reading hardcovers. They're not like flimsy and bendable like paperback books, and it just makes the reading experience uncomfortable. In line with that, number 10, there is nothing more that I hate than having to wait months for the book to come out in paperback and it's only available in hardcover. And I'm going to say this for a particular book because I've been dying to read Powerless for the longest time. Ever since I first heard about it, I was like, I need to read this book. I feel like I'll absolutely love this book. When I walked into my local Shoppers, guess what book was in there? Powerless, Powerful, and Reckless. So I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, like this is my chance. I'm gonna buy these books. Only to find out that they were hardcovers. So disappointed. And I remember when I first wanted to read this book, I even went on Amazon to see if they had a paperback version, and the paperback version was unavailable. And they didn't know when it was gonna come in. And then on top of that, I recently went to go buy, you can see it behind me, the Throne of Glass series. While I was there, I was like, oh my god, we're at Chapters, like, they've gotta have the paperback version of Powerless. Lo and behold, I asked the girl, and she goes, no, we only have the hardcovers. And I go, oh, do you know if you get the paperback versions or anything? And she goes, no, it's just available in hardcover right now. And I asked her, oh, why? That's, strange. And I was, telling her, I was like, oh, I hate the hardcovers. I, really want to read the book, but I hate the hardcovers. And she goes, yeah, it's just, a tactic they use when a book's really popular, because if they don't release it in paperback version, everyone's going to buy the hardcovers, and the hardcovers are more expensive. And I hate that because I really want to read the book, but I refuse to buy it in hardcover just to read it, because then my reading experience will be absolute torture. And finally, for number 11, this one is just a little bit particular. I don't even know what it's called, but this thing, books that have this tiny little cutout on the side. What is the point of that? Love this book, hate that. What is the point of that? I get it's to see the words or whatever, but why? Every time I go to pick up this book, it feels wrong. Because the cover is a different material than the page behind it, and it's not thick enough, and it drives me nuts. So if you're an author and you are thinking about publishing your book, please do not do this. For my sake, please do not do this. That is all of my unpopular book opinions for now. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like and comment down below. If you didn't, feel free to leave a hate comment. I'd love to hear your opinion, and I will see you guys tomorrow.